I am like you, my brothers and sisters, amazed by this world, this beautiful world that can also be so horrible. Isaac says we will be saved, but I know nothing is certain. We must fight for the beautiful, and sometimes accept the horrible.
When we recall the verse from Matthew about the city on the hill, I think of our town in the jungle, how we can be an example to the world.
The Puritans preached that their shining example would be Boston. But 300 years later, it is instead a corrupt home for fake progressives and powerful elites.
A betrayal. The ultimate manifestation of the great American lie.
We give our lives to expose that despicable hypocrisy.
Even when things seem at their hardest, even in our time of crisis, even as the end may seem near, we must remember, from Matthew 20, so the last shall be first, and the first last, for many be called, but few chosen.
Dr. Natalie tells me that we all need to be extra watchful for malaria symptoms. A Venezuelan government visitor came down with a case shortly after a visit here. As you know, it is important to catch it early, as it's not as simple as popping some pills and suddenly being cured. We cannot afford an outbreak.
You know how much you all mean to us. But we are coming to a crisis point in Freedom Town. A time when we must decide our future.
We must send the strongest message we can. That we will not accept the cruelty of the world.
And what better way than through our own great works here, our divine providence.
And we will not let them break us. The ending we choose will be ours, and ours alone.
From Romans 13, let no debt remain outstanding, except the continuing debt to love one another. For whoever loves others has fulfilled the law. The commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and whatever other command there may be, are summed up in this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. I am a peaceful man. But years ago I questioned myself. Would I take up arms to be free? Yes. Because I would not let anyone hurt my people. Our lives are ours only if we fight for them by any means necessary. It is the puritanical hypocrite who worries more about who is sleeping with who than he worries about who has enough to eat or what people his government is bombing. It would be the height of absurdity were not so destructive. When Kennedy evoked that passage from Matthew, he spoke of how the world was watching America, the shining city. He then launched his army into a series of war crimes in Vietnam. Such naked hypocrisy and evil in God's name made me realize I could no longer conscience living in the United States. Our own shining city, this freedom town, will never betray the word of the Lord. My whole life I have been fighting the warmongers in the police state. Now, with your strength, we will keep up that fight. We must never surrender.
The history of capitalism is pure fantasy. The spinning of the oppressors to be great benefactors, and lying that the oppressed are thieves and traitors. The dead don't care about this colossal fabrication. But we who still have to live on this planet must constantly force out the truth.
I saw one of the children draw a figure in chalk in the playground. And I asked the young girl, "Is that a bear? There are no bears in Venezuela." But she said, "No, Mr. Isaac, you're wrong. It's you." I wish I could keep that drawing forever.
Hey, you're trespassing. name's Charles. Come on now. Hand over your weapons. That's all right. For a long time, they've been saying people are coming to kill us. But I don't think you are. Answer me this. Who are you? Why are you here? If you don't want to say, that's fine. I won't hurt you. I don't think you're much of a threat. People joined us for good reasons. But some got down here and couldn't see the good anymore. Sometimes I think we all lost. People say some crazy shit around here. I wish I knew if things were really that bad. Oh, you're Alex's family. Is that right? You want to see him? You should see him. What you need is a map to help you find him. I don't know exactly where Alex is, but I've marked your map to give you an idea where to look. Isaac has helped a lot of people. You remember that. I just wish he wasn't so damn paranoid. Rebecca's always saying not to trust our families back home. But I don't care what she says. I think it's right for people to talk to their families. Cages? Shit. What the hell happened to this place? I thought about leaving, but these are good people. Problem is, good people can get all twisted up. Look, you go back into town, you stay out of sight. Most of the guards have heavy trigger fingers. Rebecca's got them all keyed up. The walkers are big on symbols. Those cages, the big crosses. What's going on with that? Symbols don't harvest the crops. Thing most of us won't admit, we're trapped here. Good or bad, we don't have a choice about it now. You get yourself killed, it's bad for all of us. The walkers are big on symbols. Those cages, the big crosses. What's going on with that? Symbols don't harvest the crops.
You know how much you all mean to us. But we are coming to a crisis point in Freedom Town. A time when we must decide our future.
We must send the strongest message we can. That we will not accept the cruelty of the world.
And what better way than through our own great works here, our divine providence.
And we will not let them break us. The ending we choose will be ours, and ours alone. I have been hearing a lot of complaints about vetoed visitation requests. Let me emphasize, it is so important we carefully monitor who comes to Freedom Town. We are aware of several past incidents where the FBI planted moles in our town. We cannot let them in our homes again.
Why do they fear us? I will tell you why. Because they see us living together in peace, sharing what we have. They see us as a threat to their own lives of idolatry. A threat to their Mercedes and their swimming pools and their illegal wars around the world that bankroll all of it. A threat to their segregated communities, their segregated marriages, their segregated churches. They are quite content in their lives of hate, and how dare we suggest there may be a better way?
During our crisis, we have made special arrangements for the children. They are in Cuba, at Colonia Unidad La Palma, learning about the revolution from our trusted neighbors.
I know it's hard, and I miss them too.
But we do not have time for sentimentality.
But we keep them in our hearts.
We have no time for distractions. Like our proud sisters and brothers at Stonewall showed us, if things don't get better, eventually you just need to pick up something heavy and smash it through a car window. Injustice abhors those who live righteous lives. Like a virus, injustice must spread to survive. But as long as one person resists, injustice may be killed. When writing to your relatives, remember we want them to understand how good things are for us, how important our work is. And Sarah, our communications director, is always available to help them understand.
Have you hurt any of my people? For us, the terror is not knowing what your kind is capable of. We'll send you back. Right now I have a bigger problem to deal with. In the U.S., the only way to improve your life is to play by their rules. Do what you're told, ignore the suffering of others, and win all your money in Las Vegas. If you like those odds, you may be fine there. Our best revolutionary leaders were killed when they said no to the war machine's endless appetite. We refuse to fight for profits, and that makes us dangerous. We fight only our own fight.
Our surveillance tells us they are sending forces to destroy us because they so fear what we represent. We cannot fight the forces allied against us with an agricultural project alone. We arm ourselves to show we do not fear them.
Lord save us.
Every rich college student talking about putting his body upon the gears and upon the wheels and upon the levers. How many did anything after protesting the small injustices of their bourgeois education? How many of those people made it to Freedom Town? Now, I know some of you did, and I'm proud that when you say the machine will be prevented from working, you mean it. Capitalism lives off inequity, pushing you to look down on others. And what better shorthand for feeling superior than based on your own so-called race? Angela Davis has it right. You cannot separate racism from capitalism.
Let me say this again. With a group as numerous as ours, some people will stray.
Mom, I know you've never believed in what we're doing here, but I don't blame you for being wrong. As Isaac always says, the American corporate machine is designed to make people fear any different way to live. But we live our own policy, and our policy is true equality.
We must.
I may not change your mind, but I hope you believe in me and love me enough to help me with my dream. This is really hard for me to ask, but as we get this started, things are stretched thin. Supplies for myself, for all my friends here, would help so much. If you could send a wire transfer, that would help the most.
Some people have been talking about the number of guns we have in Freedom Town. I must remind them what Huey Newton said. Sometimes, if you want to get rid of the gun, you have to pick the gun up. No one wants to leave their families behind. But if you told them of our ways and they refuse to listen, you know they are lost. Our future is here, not back in the most corrupt nation the world has ever seen.
I wish we could inspire the world, save more people. But if we can just save ourselves, we will know that is all God wished for us. Now, apparently back home, the critics say we are not getting enough to eat here, that the weather is bad, and a whole lot of other nonsense. So when you write home, tell everyone how good the food is, how nice Patuela is for us, and how happy you are with your decision to live in Freedom Town. I'm counting on you. say no to trips home, you have to understand I trust you. I know you would want to come back to Freedom Town. It's them I don't trust. They wouldn't let you come back, and I don't want to lose any of my people.
From time to time, I think about what they might say about us in the history books. But then I remember that those texts are shot through with lies. And what about the FBI's COINTEL program, whose very stated goal is maintaining the existing social and political order? Is it any surprise that they came after us? Because I look at their social order and I say that it is not good enough for my family.
You know, when I met Rebecca, I loved her because of how strong she was. In a society like theirs, for a woman to be that tough, I knew she was the strongest person I'd ever met. So now, sometimes we argue, and we are better for it. When the black man is there to shine their shoes and live in their slum, fine. The government tells him he is free. But he is just as much a slave as his grandfather 100 years ago. But when the black man knows his civil rights, when he chooses to defend his home, to fight for a decent breakfast for his children, now he is a terrorist. Now he must be put down.
Huh?
Of course we know you've been here for a while. What we don't know is if you've already poisoned us. Is it in the water, the food, a chemical in the air? So many ways you could kill us. There won't be time for the death squad. This will all be over soon. I've wanted to send this message for a long time.